Welcome back, you hear Goldberg. Today we'll be talking about the whole kerfuffle in the Middle East / Central Asia. And some of you have heard of it, others have not. It doesn't really matter. I know there's going to be claims this video is a waste of time. It's just a headline piece. And in under a month, no one's going to care about Afghanistan or the fate of its people. You're absolutely correct. But we're going to partake just to have a little bit of fun, okay? Now I should note, there was the last mango in Paris, the last flight out of Saigon, and most importantly, the last Carebear in Kabul. His name is Zabulon Samantov, and he somewhat trolled everyone. He said, "Yes, I'm going to evacuate, but you still owe me money. Pay up." Have to appreciate someone who has a sense of humor in a world where everyone is self-important and takes themselves seriously. So many of you want me to attack Biden. I see no point. The man is obviously in physical and cognitive decline. I'm pointing that out not as a partisan. It's just very obvious if you've observed other older people and their behavior. That being said, we know the administration lied and their politicians. Oh, wow, big surprise. We have to dispel the notion that Afghanistan was ever going to be an orderly withdrawal. That's just neocon nonsense because now they realize their money is running out, and we'll get more into it in just a second. Mark Milley, the SJW general, should probably be court-martialed, but it won't happen because in the United States, if you are very rich or you have a lot of power, laws don't apply to you in the same way. We saw this with Petraeus. Any lower-level person would have been sent to prison, but because he was General Petraeus, oh, no, no, no. It should be the reverse. If you have a very prominent position, like a CEO or a governor or a president, you should be held to a harsher standard. The only exception recently was a member of the Cuomo organized crime family, but that's only because, in my theory, he was a threat to Kamala Harris for the next election. And you also have that guy leading the Pentagon. He was in the movie Glory with Matthew Broderick, where he went, I wanted to say, Merry Christmas, Roberts. Merry Christmas, Thomas. So it all comes together in a good fashion, I should say. And of course, now we're being subjected to gaslighting from all the America Firsters on Fox News, pushing neocon ideas. Who's the guy in the morning? He has the investing show, but it's really more about politics, and he's going, I mean, look at this. We have a video saying, Taliban, help us, Taliban. What are we gonna do? And they bring on Kayleigh McEnany and that southern chick with the red hair and the huge jaw. She's like, I mean, we got neo-Nazi Muslims running around. What's gonna happen to us? Not to mention some of the other characters. The really skinny, tall guy with the glasses. He's like, I mean, Biden. This is the Biden administration not caring about women. Or our good old friend. I mean, you see, the Taliban wants women to wear a shawl and also a COVID mask. Just the other intolerance of the Taliban left. It just never ends. What can be done, you know? In general, this is just another excuse for the normies to be Monday morning quarterback and talk about how, oh, why isn't this being done? Oh, the women in Afghanistan. But you notice, maybe it's just media manipulation. Same thing with the refugees from Libya and Syria, but also with the people trying to get on planes in Kabul. Isn't it fascinating that despite the fact we hear all these masculine Muslim men who are really strong and can restore civilizations, they're always first in line trying to run away from the country. Young men. Those are the dudes who should be fighting the Taliban, you would think. Maybe joining Northern Alliance or whatever. No, they're fleeing because most of them are cowards. I don't want to hear this whole thing about how, oh yeah, they're going to restore the West. More than likely, they're going to come and live on welfare. So don't give me all that nonsense of these patriarchal civilizations. They're cowards. They're running away and leaving women and children behind. That's what they do. That's part of their culture. So enough with the nonsense. Enough with the lies. Prior to this point, of course, you had the Rohingya Muslims, the Uyghurs. What about Kony 2012? What about Free Tibet? These are just causes that the consumerist, bored millennial or Gen Z person can start pumping their fist about for a few weeks to feel like they actually have relevance. But they're not going to do anything. This was really preordained as far as I'm concerned, the collapse of Afghanistan. Anyone with half a brain would realize it was going to occur. I would highly advise read this book. It's very I would say comprehensive. It will give you an understanding of what's going on. This has been an issue for years. I mean, people talk about the Soviets, but you also have the British who lost in the 1840s to the Afghans. And even when they've been incorporated in an empire, it's usually decentralized, very autonomous. It's not like, oh yeah, we rule, we make all the decisions. So it's a very important situation to comprehend. Now, some of you are going to say, why were we there? Well, there's a couple of different angles. I personally don't believe Afghanistan was ever meant to actually be one, so to speak. The first is the most evident: war profiteers. Back in 2008, John McCain had made a comment about how we would have to remain in Iraq for 100 years. And of course, people got angry. But in a way, he was just signaling his donors that, yeah, you're going to make money under me for pretty much in perpetuity, well beyond your own death. Afghanistan was extended for exactly that reason. We can keep paying all these big contractors. They're going to make billions. Who cares if people are dying on both sides? At least you can allow this particular industry to profit. That is one of the biggest reasons why any war exists. Don't get confused. Most wars are really not necessary. They're about helping particular industries thrive. All right? Another angle, of course, is the drug trade. Afghanistan has been described as a narco state. Now, they do have some rare earth minerals which China will collect on because, God forbid, the United States would actually benefit when it spends all this money as far as the people. Like, why didn't we nationalize the oil in Iraq for the American people? Well, no, we can't do that. That would be imperialistic. But there were reports of U.S. soldiers guarding opium fields, right? They said they were doing this drug war, but in reality that was probably directed towards folks who were profiting under the table. At the same time as we're fighting this long 20-year war, back home you have an opioid crisis. There's a variety of reasons, economic and social, for that, but isn't it kind of interesting because the opioid crisis is traced back to people like Purdue, legitimate pharmaceutical companies, not individual drug dealers per se. That's not the bulk of it. So maybe there's a connection. We're guarding opium fields. We're fighting a drug war against people who would like just sell it on their own markets. And we have an opioid crisis back home, affecting many people, including returning soldiers. Defense contractors profit, and the pharmaceutical industry profits, much like they've been profiting recently with the whole invasion of the body snatchers scenario they've inflicted upon us. The final aspect, of course, is the very nature of a war on terror. This has no end. It's not decisive. We killed Osama bin Laden, we killed 10,000 militants. We made Eric Prince president of Afghanistan. No. There's always going to be some dude with an AK-47 or a bomb vest angry at America. So what that means is you can extend this war indefinitely. And these protections, in 2001, 2002, what was the narrative told by the Bush administration? Watch out, they're gonna get you, the Muslims are coming after you. And so you needed the Patriot Act, surveillance, all this nonsense. Just a couple years ago, the FBI is claiming that the biggest threat to the United States is not Muslims, but the majority group of men in the United States. That in of itself should send off alarm bells. But all these patriot conservatives who voted for Bush, and now, oh yeah, Trump, we should have Trump, he would have done a better job, he would have gone back in and bombed them. You are selling yourselves down the river. You're so obsessed with this, yeah, America's strong, bull nonsense, that you are going to make yourselves less free. And that's exactly what's happening. So as Afghanistan ends, there should be a bigger conversation concerning these laws need to be repealed. Unfortunately, the left seems to have turned into exactly what they were complaining about under Bush. So let me know what you think about Afghanistan, and if you want to go in and bomb them again or invade again, because it's a patriot conservative thing to do.